Moto likes you.
The Acolyte. Everyone hates it. Well, not everyone, but mostly people seem to agree that the best part of this show is its villain, the Stranger. Here's the thing though, are people just happy to see a red lightsaber dude and a cool helmet again, or is he actually a well-crafted villain? It's time for another villain review. I'm analyzing the Stranger and giving him a score 1 out of 10. Let's do it. By the way, spoilers.
Yeah, I started out gun running for the Hutts. Now I supply people like her with what they need.
I'm gonna call him Chimere because that's his name, at least I know, so yeah. It's not his real name, but we're rolling with it. Born a powerful Force user, Chimere was a member of the Jedi Order, and nothing ever goes bad in the Jedi Order, but don't worry, it's not a genocide this time, just like child abuse, so it's light, you know? At some point, Chimere would be scarred by the Jedi. We're not really sure what goes on in the situation, which would be bad enough to cause him to fall to the dark side. He'd go into hiding from the Order with his only real goal being to have the freedom to use his powers without discrimination from the world. Except he also wants an acolyte really, really bad, because that's the name of the show, and also so he can pass on some of this knowledge and expand the power. Wow. Okay, let's get into it. Honestly, this is a classic example of a character I like, but the motive, no. I like the idea of someone using the dark side for seemingly not an evil thing inherently. It's always something I've wondered about, and seeing a character finally put it into practice is cool. Sure, he hates the Jedi, but it's not like his whole goal is to kill the Jedi. He wants freedom. As to why he wants the freedom, that's more vague. How do we get from his master gave him this scar, the Jedi Order abused him, to he wants freedom of power? Something's just missing, dude. I know they want to do a season 2, they probably won't get it, but exploring this guy's past really needs to be a priority if that happens, because there are some big gaps in the lore that make his motive feel kind of disconnected from the rest of the show and his origin. Almost seems like they had the idea of this dark side user with the helmet and the lightsaber, and then they were like, oh crap, we have to come up with some reason for him to be semi-sympathetic. Okay, and now we can get to the good stuff. Everyone let out a big sigh of relief. But first, more bad stuff. Was the plot twist obvious? Maybe, sure, depends who you are. The fact they brought Chimere along for the ride, it was kind of like, okay, it's probably someone we know, because if not, they probably would have shown him already, otherwise the reveal of his mask would be pointless. But even when he's just Chimere, I think he's a fine character. A huge part of this is due to Manny Jacinto, who is a huge part of what makes this character work. It's Jacinto's first real villain role, playing a lot of likable guys in the past. My main exposure to him being probably the same as you, The Good Place, where he's super good, no pun intended.
A failed DJ from Jacksonville, Florida.
I wasn't a failed DJ, I was pre-successful.
Actors who try to play both genres don't always pull it off, but here, Jacinto does incredibly well. Because Chimere is, you know, kind of like a lazy guy, a little bit of a goof, he complains, but the master, that guy don't mess around, dude, or is insane. The shift in performance doesn't feel too harsh, and honestly, I'd say it's my favorite thing about the character. As far as his personality goes, I'd be lying if I said there was a ton of stuff that really grabbed me. He does retain a little bit of personality in this one line, I just wanted more of it.
Why risk discovery?
Well, I did wear a mask.
He hates the Jedi, he loves the dark side, all stuff we've seen before. He does have an interesting relationship with both Osha and May, but even that, the whole acolyte thing with these two and him kind of just set up for the future. His design is sick though. I love having another dark helmet, red lightsaber villain in Star Wars, and Manny Jacinto's great. That's about it. Most people would agree that Acolyte's not a great show. Anyways, the action in The Acolyte is some of the best we've gotten from a Star Wars project in a long time. Mainly because Star Wars has largely avoided lightsabers since the sequel trilogy, and even then, the sequel trilogy only really had one lightsaber fight where it's saber on saber action, not like fighting some floating grandpa on a chair. In fact, I'd say the only episode that's truly great is the one where they just stop talking, they just shut up, and they just fight for 45 minutes. That's what we need. So great to have an actual lightsaber villain again, and the way he fights is pretty fresh for Star Wars. It seems every Star Wars villain starting with the prequels needs to have some kind of gimmick about them. Darth Maul had the double saber, General Grievous had a cough, Inquisitors have that helicopter blade that spins that's always been like really impractical for me, and Kylo Ren has the cool looking but kind of stupid hilt. The Stranger has this helmet that shuts down lightsabers and also has this little mini-me saber he dual wields with his regular one. It allows him to get pretty fancy with his moves, and it's a huge win. The choreography is great, as well as the parts of the sets that are practical, and whenever this guy's just throwing down, the Acolyte's a pretty good watch. His first fight has this mystery to it also. Who's this guy gonna be? Darth Plagueis? No, that'd be stupid. The fact though he almost clutches an 8v1 is insane. You love to see a badass villain go crazy, and I can't compliment this scene enough. He also has one of the most ruthless kills in recent Star Wars, so that's pretty sick. What I like about how Kymir fights is that he does a lot of things I've always been like, why don't people do that? And then he does it. He throws his saber and then pulls it back. He pulls enemies into his saber. So many cool moments that just get you hyped. Dude, does it suck the rest of the show isn't this strong. A project hasn't let Manny Jacinto down this bad since Top Gun Maverick. Look it up. If you haven't watched the show, that's okay. I might recommend it. Not watching the show, not the show, that is. But you gotta watch some of these fights. You really owe it to yourself. Kymir is a cool villain dealt a really bad hand. He's not perfect by any means. He has a really messy motive, some dialogue that doesn't work, but against all odds, he finds a way. This guy not only being the best part of the show, but an overall solid villain. Manny Jacinto is great in the role, his design is cool, and best of all, his fight scenes are the peak of this series and genuinely enjoyable, genuinely amazing. I'm gonna give Kymir the Stranger a 7.
I want a pupil. An acolyte.
Thanks so much for watching. Hit subscribe. I got new villain reviews coming out all the time, including another one in just 2 days. Hit subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Also, subscribe to the second channel. When I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm gonna do the Akatsuki villain review. That'll be cool. Bye.